welcome to another episode of The Growth Blueprint. In this episode, I am cooking breakfast and talking about meal prep. Because I was thinking yesterday about how I was thinking about meal prep, right? Because meal prep is almost like a bad word in the health and fitness industry. It's like if I say that in my program you have to meal prep, it's going to make people go running for the hills. That's what meal prep is treated as. But it's funny because then if you talk to basically anyone in the health and fitness industry that coaches or competes or does anything, okay, that I guarantee you, I would bet you all the money in the world that they meal prep. And the fact of the matter is that if you want results that are as good as you want them to be, all right, I'm talking like the impressive body confidence and physique that you have drawn up in your mind about your body and the way you want it to look, you're going to need to meal prep. And that's just the way it is. Okay? So, I was thinking last night about one of my clients and how for like probably 90% of all individuals, meal prepping is absolutely necessary. And how there are some exceptions, but those exceptions are very rare and very unique. And you just have to meal prep. And I think one of the biggest ways to kind of understand why meal prepping is so important is to start to think about, you've probably heard me talk about this, but let's say that there are 21 meals a week that you're supposed to be eating, which there roughly are, right? If you're trying to do a good job eating enough protein and fueling your body effectively, then you're probably eating roughly 21 meals a week. Okay? Well, if that's the case, to get an A grade, 90%, okay? 90%. To get an A, you got to eat 19 out of 21 meals and have control over those meals, right? So 19 out of 21 is you cooked and created it, or at least eaten in a macro-specific preparation that kept you on track for your goals. That leaves you with 2 off-track meals. That's not very much. 2 off-track meals is not very much. And almost everybody that I talk to wants like A results for their body. Okay? They want A results. Well, A results is 19 out of 21 meals that you controlled, that you consumed. So, that's pretty tough, which is why it comes around to this whole idea of meal prep. I have been meal prepping for like 15 years of my life. Okay? I have been meal prepping for a very long time. Since I was in high school. I don't think I was meal prepping in middle school, but I was definitely meal prepping in high school. And so I mean, I've been meal prepping for most of my life. And if you want to have the body that you say you want to have, the results that you say you want to have, then I would advise that you start to learn how to meal prep. Okay, and it doesn't have to be anything insane. I mean, my meal prep is about as dumb simple as it could possibly be. Okay, I cook a shit ton of rice right now anyway. I kind of cycle what I'm eating every couple of weeks, but right now I'm actually cooking myself breakfast. I'm not meal prepping, I'm just cooking breakfast. But I have a big rice cooker I have a bunch of this awesome seasoning that I use, and I make a lot of rice. Right now I'm doing bowls. I'm eating lots of bowls. And you just gotta cook a whole bunch of rice, a whole bunch of lean ground turkey. I cooked the last of mine up the other day. And I cook my protein. I just get all of my protein. I get the bulk aspects of my food done. Okay, so I have a bunch of meat cooked, I have a bunch of carbs cooked, so that if I'm ever in like a real pinch, I have meat and carbs that I can just eat and throw together, so I'm at least checking that box, right? Now, what I prefer to do is, and this week I prepped like a salsa, and usually I have some kind of vegetable. Right now I have a bunch of sun-dried cherry tomatoes from Italy, which are awesome, that I'm eating. But you know, so most of the time I have a bunch of other stuff that kind of like goes around whatever my core things are. And sometimes my core thing is like beef and potatoes. Other times it's turkey and rice. Like, that kind of varies, but there's like a core aspect that makes up about 80 to 90% of my core nutrition that is prepped. Okay, 80 to 90% of my core nutrition gets prepped. And that's usually a carb, vegetables, and protein. And then there's a whole bunch of other nonsense that, like, depending on how I'm feeling, can get consumed. Maybe I'll fry a couple eggs, put them in my bowl. That's usually happens. I love eggs. Maybe I'll stir fry something. Maybe I'll stir fry my rice and meat and veggies this time. So there's like a ton of different things that you can do, and this is kind of how this is how I exist. This is the way that I meal prep, and this is also kind of how I try and help my clients to meal prep as well. Not necessarily cooking the same stuff, because obviously you're not gonna like what I like. I mean, you might, but we're not gonna try to depend on that. And so, you know, what we'll do is we'll just kind of say like, okay, what do you like to eat? If I told you to cook breakfast, what would you cook? Right? If I told you to cook lunch, what would you cook? And so we start to just kind of say, these are the things you like. Well, how can we try and streamline this process for you? Right? If you enjoy doing like sandwiches of some kind for lunch, what can we do to make sure that those sandwiches get prepared, right? How do we set this up? You know, here's a great simple sandwich idea. Obviously, you can't mix the bread with the stuff because the bread's gonna get soggy. Well, you can put everything else on the sandwich together. Even the sauces. You just take one piece of meat, sauce it, the other piece of meat, the lettuce, the tomatoes, all this other stuff, and then you can wrap those little things in saran wrap or put them in a plastic bag, and then you have the core of your sandwich made. You have your bread, and now you have all of it prepped. You don't actually have to put it together. You can just grab it and go. Idea, right? Things like that. And so it's like, how can we build this into a reliable system that starts to help me be able to be more successful with my food preparation? Because again, right, if you say that you want a result, but you're not willing to do what it takes to get those results, that's called being delusional. We don't want to be delusional, okay? So, A results are 19 out of 21 meals a week. Getting 19 out of 21 meals a week probably involves some form of meal prep. Maybe not everything for the whole week. It probably doesn't. I mean, I don't do that. And I get 19 out of 21, so it's obviously not that necessary. But I do some form of meal prep, and I would be willing to bet that anyone online with a half-decent physique does some kind of meal prep. Because it's just that hard. It's that hard to get the adequate amounts of protein in. It's that hard to fuel your body the way that it needs to be fueled. It's just kind of a requirement. So, I guess there's my little rant about protein and meal prep while I make breakfast. But yeah, if this resonated with you and you're like, okay, I'm ready to meal prep, but I don't know where to start. Okay, I have a food calculator. It's really cool. You don't even need to give me any of your information. It's just completely free. I built it with AI. There's all kinds of cool AI stuff out there right now, and I'm making all of this cool shit for people to use. But I made a food calculator, and the food calculator, again, is completely free. So either text me or message me on Instagram, food, and my automated system will pick that up and send you the calculator so that you can check it out. But it's really cool, and it'll help kind of give you your bearings on where to start with your meal prep. So as always, if you spent your time with me today, I greatly appreciate it, because your time is your most valuable resource. So if you spent that with me today, I hope I made it worth the time that you invested. And if I did, I would greatly appreciate it if you could rate the show, share it with somebody, because you are my marketing team for the podcast. And so the more that you share it, the more that this show grows, the more that it helps me, the more that it helps other people to learn these things, to get this motivation, to catch these ideas, so that more people can live healthy, active, amazing lives that they want to live. So thank you, and I'll see y'all in the next one.